So speaking of your parents, like, you know how they raised you, and because you were there, and you mentioned that you have kids now. What are some similarities and differences between their parenting styles and your parenting style? What did you take from them, and then what did you also say, I'm never going to do this with my kids?
So, my parents were always big on education, right?
Okay.
In our house, you didn't have a choice, right? You went to school, you behaved, you got good grades. That's just what you did. So it's the same with my kids. I expect for them to get a great education, right? I expect for them to go to the best schools. I expect for them to put their all into their education. That's just what it is.
Okay.
In my house, though, it was always expected that you go to college. You didn't have a choice. After high school, you go to college. I don't think I'll be so big on my kids going to college if they don't want to, as long as they have a plan. But yeah.
Okay. I bet you don't remember all the schools you went to growing up.
Oh, I sure do.
You do.
I didn't go to that many, right?
All right. So you had a pretty stable childhood for you as terms of like moving around. You weren't that kid.
No, I wasn't.
So question, did you grow up in the same house the whole time?
The whole time.
Wow. Okay. So you mentioned, if I recall correctly, you went to Lee, and that was kindergarten.
I went to Bryant for pre-K.
Oh, okay. You went to a different school for pre-K.
I went to Bryant for pre-K.
And that's in West Philly?
And that's in West Philly as well. That is on 60th and Cedar.
Okay. How far would you say that's from your house?
Just a few blocks. It's not that far.
Got it.
But one thing that I remember from pre-K, right, the move bombing. It was not...
You remember that?
I remember it.
What is the move bombing for anybody watching this who doesn't know? That was big in Philadelphia.
It was big. So the city dropped a bomb on a set of houses to, I guess, try to get like a certain group of people out. I don't know the whole story, right? But I remember being in the school. The school was just a few blocks away from where the bombing happened. I remember being in school that morning and like the rush and the panic and the windows of the classroom shaking.
Really?
I remember...
You were there?
We were there. And I remember my mother rushing me home because at that time she wasn't working. I remember rushing home and just the whole commotion around that.
That's probably the first time you experienced something like that.
Yes, but at 4, 3, whatever, you don't know how big it is until later.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You learn about it as you get older. You're like, yo, I remember that.
Yes.
Okay.
So that was one big event I remember from pre-K and being in Bryant.
Okay. Interesting. So from Bryant, you go to Lee.
Go to Lee.
And you were only there for one school year.
For one school year.
So question, kindergarten back then, were you like all day or were you morning class or afternoon class?
So I went to Lee because they had all day kindergarten.
Okay.
That's what my mother said.
Got it. Okay. Because they probably had the option in a lot of the other schools, but they had all day, which was convenient for your parents.
Yes.
Got it. So you go to first grade where?
Hamilton. Andrew Hamilton Elementary, 57th and Spruce.
Okay, which is also in West Philly?
Yes.
And you said it's right down the street, so it's like...
It's not too far from where...
How long of a walk?
Oh, less than 5 minutes.
Less than 5 minutes?
Yeah, it's
wow.
maybe 2 blocks.
So you never got a ride to school?
No, my parents were at work, so I got up and walked to school.
Got it. So your dad was, you said, a building engineer. Mm-hmm. Your mom, what did she do?
So at that time, she worked for this company that built everything, and so they dealt with like steel and stainless steel.
Okay.
And they built everything from the counter back in McDonald's stores.
Oh, really?
So like
interesting.
The counters, the fryers, like all that stuff. Their company manufactured all of those things.
So did your parents work at these 2 jobs your entire schooling?
Until my mother got laid off. Her job moved to Tennessee.
Okay.
When I was in 12th grade.
When you were a senior?
Yes.
Oh, wow. So your entire school, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. We're going to get into that. It probably gets more interesting as you get older.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, so you went to Hamilton from K through I'm sorry. From first grade through
first to fifth.
to fifth. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. How was your Hamilton experience?
It was cool.
Normal.
Yeah, you know.
Okay.
Little kids. It was cool.
Would you send your kids to Hamilton?
Now, no.
Okay.
I would not.
Why not?
I'm not. The neighborhood has changed so much, right?
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure they can get a great education there, but I like them to be like I don't know, right? My kids don't go to public school, so I don't know how. I don't know.
All right, so let's talk about that though. So as a parent, you've decided to not put your kids in public school. Like for what reason? And so I'm assuming, do they go to charter school or private school?
They go to private school.
They go to private school. A lot of times parents say, I know the kids that go there. I know their parents. It's a more structured environment. Mm-hmm. It's more funding involved because we're paying for it, right? Mm-hmm. What were your reasons for like putting your kids in private school as opposed to the school down the street for them 2 minutes?
I wanted them to get the best education, right? I wanted them to be in a more diverse environment. I wanted them to be able to maneuver through life a little more.
A more diverse environment, meaning if they went to school in their neighborhood, assuming that you live in the city, because I don't know where you live, but are you still in Philadelphia?
I am still in Philadelphia.
You're still in West Philly?
Yes.
Okay, so if they went to school in the neighborhood, they would probably be in school with all black kids and maybe some Hispanic kids. Like that's pretty much the hood, right? Mm-hmm. So in the private school, they go to school with everybody: Asian kids, white kids, black kids, Hispanic kids, whomever. Okay, interesting.
I wanted the environment that they are educated in to be more reflective of how the world is, if that makes sense.
What do you mean?
You know, if they were to go to the school in the neighborhood that I currently live in, it wouldn't give them a true sense of how the world is.
Okay. So they're not being exposed to all the different types of people that they would when they get out.
Exactly. You know, I definitely wanted a more structured environment. I wanted them to get the best education. It's easy to say and it's hard to say, right? I don't know in the neighborhood that I currently live in. I don't know what that schooling looks like.
Okay.
Right? But I know that my son is excelling in ways that I don't think that he would.
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
You know?
So you graduate from Hamilton and you go where?
Maya.
Maya. What is Maya? Spell Maya.
MYA, Middle Years Alternative School.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, it stands for Middle Years Alternative School.
Yes.
Okay. So you go to Maya. Mm-hmm. And so is that a public school in Philadelphia?
Yes. I'm public school my entire life.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So it was a public school. Okay. It is a public school.
And is that in West Philly?
It was at the time. It was at 43rd and Locust. Okay. And then it moved to the old West Catholic for Boys building. Okay. Which was at 49th and Chestnut. Now it's the new West Philly.
How far is 43rd and Locust from your house?
Oh, that's pretty far.
Okay, so you had to catch the bus to school now.
So when I went, it moved. We went on the assumption that I would be going to 43rd and Locust, mm-hmm. and then over the summer they moved to 49th and Chestnut.
Oh, so you never went to the 43rd
and Locust.
Okay, yeah. Okay. So how was Maya? How was your Maya experience?
It was cool.
It was
cool. It was cool for the most part.
Okay.
Typical middle school. In middle school, kids start to find themselves.
Right. They become mean.
And become mean. Yes.
They're mean in elementary, but it's like
a different kind of mean in middle school.
Right. In elementary, it's kind of an innocent mean. In middle school, it's a purposeful mean.
Purposeful mean.
And then in high school, it's like controlled. Like everybody knows what they're doing, and now it's manipulative mean. But middle school is just purposeful mean.
Yes, and in middle school, I was pretty quiet at first, and then I began to come out the shell a little bit, became a little more friendly, and then I got into a fight.
You got into your first fight in middle school. You remember who it was with?
do. I do.
Okay.
And
Do you remember everything that happened?
yeah. Oh my gosh.
Walk us through your first fight ever.
Being, oh my gosh. So
What grade was this?
This was 8th.
8th grade?
It was 8th grade.
Okay.
I remember.
And by the way, Maya ends in 8th grade?
Ends in 8th grade.
Okay.
Yes.
So, okay, got it.
So I remember, like, I can't even tell. I don't know why it started, what the beef was about. I can't remember, right?
Right.
But I remember, like, arguing with this girl, and this boy came behind me and was like, don't drop your book bags because they're going to roll on you. And I was like, oh my God. So, like, I did not drop my book bag because I had never been into a fight. Like,
Right. You seen a million of them.
Seen a million, but I'd never been in any. So I was like, oh gosh, I'm scared. And they wound up leaving and I go home. And
Wait, so how'd the argument stop?
I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't remember.
But you did not get rolled out on that day.
I did not.
Okay. Okay.
And he could have been lying. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Right.
And,
but you were about to drop your book bag and rock with this girl.
Because I'm not a punk.
Right.
I have never fought.
You're from West Philly, right.
But I knew that I had to fight.
Right.
So I remember, like, going home and telling my mother and just, like, crying.
Okay.
And my mom was like, what? Next thing I know, I'm boxing all weekend with her and my dad and my older brother. Right? They have me, put your hands up. Make sure you cover your face and and you gotta grab him by the hair and throw him to the floor. And I'm like, oh my God, are you? But it was like boxing camp. Like, you going to school on Monday and you're going to fight.
Really?
And I was like, oh. So Monday morning,
okay.
Sunday night, I'm scared, right? Can't sleep. And
I know the feeling.
My mother used to get up and, like, leave for work at like 4:45 in the morning. Like, I'll never forget.
So you didn't even see her. You didn't even see your mom when she left. You were still asleep.
Yo, don't forget to leave my lunch money. Right? I'll wake up for that. Go back to sleep. But, like, this Monday morning, she didn't go to work.
She didn't go to work on this day.
She didn't go to work.
She's like, it's a big day for my daughter.
She was like, get up, come on, let's go.
Your mom took you to school?
My mom took me to school.
Wow.
And it used to be like these steps that went down into, like, the lunchroom, right? So we get there, and then I have an older cousin that, like, went to West Philly High School.
Okay, which you just said was close.
Yeah, it was close, right?
Okay.
She was, like, waiting on the corner.
So your mom had already called her sister or her brother and was like, yo.
My cousin was there waiting on the corner with, like, one of her friends.
Right.
I was like, what?
You had a little squad.
Like, I did not want any of this.
But you didn't even know. So when you got there, you was like, oh, snap, my cousin. Okay.
But my cousin and I were really close. So I don't remember. Like, I remember telling her what happened, but I don't know. I know my mom orchestrated.
She coordinated.
Yes.
By the way, is your mom from Philly?
Oh, yes.
Exactly.
And my mom, like, went to, like, the lunchroom steps. Y'all motherfuckers come out here who want to fight my daughter. And I was like, oh my God.
Right.
Because my mother is not that kind of.
But somebody was messing with her child.
The principal's like, yo, listen, like, we can talk about it. Whip her ass. And I was like, oh, God. So I had to fight.
The girl came outside?
Yeah, she came outside. And I had to fight.
Did you win?
I don't know. A bunch of tussling, hair pulling.
Did your cousin jump in it?
My cousin was like, move over, let me get some. Like, it was, nowadays, I think back on it, my mother would go to jail if that happened.
Right.
In 2021. Right? Like, but she made sure I fought. Then she left and went to work. And I was like, oh, God, I gotta go home. My cousin was like, don't worry, I'll be back up here after school. And we fought from, like, 49th Street to 52nd Street.
Oh, so it happened again after school?
After school.
Wow.
And, yeah.
Damn, like 3 blocks from 49th Street to 52nd Street, just getting it in.
Absolutely horrible. And I knew at that point, like, I didn't want to fight no more.
Okay.
I was like, yeah,
so this was your only fight in your entire schooling?
Only fight in my entire school. Like, after that,
right?
Like, I didn't want to fight.
I'm like, you're like, I'm good.
I don't want no problems because my mother's crazy. She's going to come like up to the school and act a fool, right? Like I don't want those problems.
Got it.
After that, I started to be a little more quiet again, right?
Okay.
Like I don't want any problems. So,
Got it. So that's 8th grade. 8th grade was interesting. Well, at least you had a.
I'm so happy for it to be over, right?
Right. Now, my question to you for middle school, for high school, the area that you lived in, your section of West Philly, what would be the neighborhood school that you would go to?
My neighborhood school would have been Bartram.
Bartram, which is in Southwest Philly.
Yes.
So West Philly kids go to Bartram in Southwest?
So the block that I lived on was the dividing line. If you lived on the north side of the street, you went to Hamilton, Sayre, West.
Okay.
If you lived on the south side of the street, you went to Harrity, Turner, Bartram.
Where did you go?
I went for high school.
Yes.
I went to